We live in a unique time in human history. We can ask just about any question and it gets answered immediately. But what do we do in the silence? What do we do with the questions that are not easily answered? Brenda and Drew never expected to face those kinds of challenges. But first, a love story.
We actually met at art school. I had no previous art experience, so I'm convinced I went to school just to meet Drew. And I think he was kind of a slacker in school.
Our first date, we went to Fazoli's. We were in college, we didn't have a lot of money. We knew we could go sit there and eat unlimited breadsticks for a couple hours and get to know each other. And it actually was a great night.
I don't know why that moment, I just thought he was sweet. And that was the moment that I really liked him.
We just felt comfortable right off the bat, and I just felt different than I had felt with anyone before.
In Brenda and Drew's story, things moved slowly. There was a friendship, long-distance dating. They weren't sure if it would ever end up in marriage. But when Drew prayed, he sensed there was something more. He sensed that not chasing Brenda could be a mistake.
I felt like the Lord just pushed me and said, this is the time. And I sold everything, cut my ties, quit my band I was in out there, and just seriously got in the car and drove home and found a way to get a wedding ring and just chased her down and asked her to marry me. It was not very pretty. We always hear these great stories of getting engaged where people planned. I felt like I cartwheeled through the door and like police kicked into her room and said, will you marry me? Please don't leave. Once we got engaged, we got married shortly after. We didn't have a big wedding. It was brother, sister, mom, and Brenda's immediate family as well. And it was beautiful, even though it was small.
I never was like one of those girls who was like, I have to have kids, I can't wait to be a mom. I kind of am more along like, we'll see how things go, let's just play it day by day.
As I would see other people parenting or teaching, I would always be taking notes, just thinking, someday I'm gonna be able to teach and just pour into somebody.
When we found out we were pregnant, we were so excited, of course. I couldn't wait to tell Drew. I didn't do anything special or exciting because I was just so excited to tell him that we were pregnant. I remember we sat up all night on our couch and we just talked about what it was gonna be like to be parents. We were so excited. We never imagined that it would end in a painful ambulance ride. That's just not what you dream of,
I was in shock. I remember our hearts had been so engaged with this, and we just thought about it so long and hard, and how we were gonna parent, and so many details. It's almost like we worked out our whole life with that kid.
So we went home and we cried a lot. And Drew actually, I remember specifically laying hands on my belly and asking the Lord, and just praying, Lord, will you let this baby live for us? And we actually went back a week later and demanded another ultrasound. We said, we prayed, we want to see if this baby really is okay. We gave God a chance. And the nurse was really sweet, the ultrasound tech. She just looked at us and she goes, I think God has a different plan for you.
It always felt like the way that my wife and I would process, we would process differently. And sometimes that would be confusing for me, or I would feel a little bit of distance and not understanding how she was going through things. She's very much introverted, and I'm so much an extrovert that I pretty much verbally process out loud and think it through while I'm talking. And so it was just hard, just learning how to communicate after that, and just to learn about her heart.
Even in difficult times, they found a way to communicate and support each other. Once again, they found out they were pregnant, and once again, they had their first trimester's doctor's visit.
Well, we had the same problem. We went in for another ultrasound, and there was no heartbeat again. And this was all before the first, for the second trimester. So here we are again, broken.
Yeah, losing a baby, that's a crazy thing. And I thought the first time was hard, and the second time it happened, I was just in, again, utter shock. How can this happen twice?
I was laying in a hospital bed, And Drew was holding my wedding ring because I was about to go into surgery. I was gonna have a D&C, which, if you know what that is very traumatic on your body as well as your heart. And I remember every moment crying out for strength because I didn't want them to take my baby. They made me sign these forms telling me all the things that could go wrong during the surgery. You know, like maybe you could never have kids or problems that would happen. And I had to sign the form right away as I was laying there and they knocked me out. I have never been so happy to wake up and see Drew in my life. He was standing there smiling at me. And I could see the look on the nurse's face. I'm sure seeing our 11-week baby lifeless was probably all too real for her, because I could see the sympathy in her eyes when she looked at me. It was hard driving home that day with nothing.
This season of their marriage was a low point in Drew and Brenda's journey. 4 times they tried for a baby, 4 miscarriages.
After the 4th time, I didn't even know how to function, or I felt like I was just struggling in my faith, understanding, is there really going to be a light at the end of this tunnel, or is this just gonna tear us apart?
So when we got pregnant the 5th time, we were seeing a specialist and we got to go see an ultrasound early. And it was about at 5 weeks or 5.5 weeks, we were able to see 2 babies. One had a heartbeat already and one didn't, so we waited a week and we went back and we got to see both heartbeats. About the 7th week we went back and we lost one of the twins. And for me, that was one of the lowest points. After 5, you just thought, why are we doing this?
Brenda wondered not only if she could carry a baby full term, but if it was even possible for her pregnancy to go past the 1st trimester. She and Drew continued to pray, and their community rallied around them. They all prayed like never before.
There was a whole nother level of prayer. People would come up to us and it was like a constant flow of people praying for us. For me, I think it was really hitting that 2nd trimester. I knew that there was a breakthrough that had happened in that moment because we had never made it that far. And I really felt like that was that confirmation, like this one we're gonna hold.
It was way into the pregnancy that I actually had the light switch go on, that we're gonna hold this baby and we're gonna have a baby. I made eye contact and it was like, we did it, we made it, and this baby is in my hands, and I had to figure out how to give her a bath without breaking her.
I'm amazed that God listens to my prayers, and it makes a huge difference. It makes all the difference. Even today, when I look at Mabel, I know how close I was to not having that. I know what a gift it is. I know because people interceded on our behalf and people who just went for the Lord and said, bless this family. He heard those cries and he answered them, and that is the sole reason we have our beautiful daughter today.
You know, my own prayers of desperation felt so small, and I know the Lord hears those, but I just knew we had so many people praying for so long, family members and coworkers and friends, and people would just tell us, like, we're in this with you, and it was amazing. It really was. I know that's the reason.
Does this story get tied up with a bow? Not exactly. This is real life. And it means things are always a little more complicated. After Mabel was born, Brenda had one other miscarriage. But once again, she had faith. And now, they are expecting another baby.
So we are pregnant again with our 2nd baby, and we have made it to the 2nd trimester. We're at 21 weeks right now. There's nothing greater than feeling this little boy. We're having a boy kick around in my belly.
We made it through the 1st trimester with everyone rallying around us and just cheering us on. And I think the prayers of everyone coming together, it was just an amazing milestone to get through that.
You have nothing to lose by humbling yourself and going before the Lord in prayer. There's something wonderful about prayer where it brings out a humility in you and it makes you realize I can't do this on my own. And the second you surrender that, he shows up. He helps you. He will be right there to answer those small cries that you think nobody's hearing.